Hello, and a warm welcome to Reddit Echo.
I need to preface this by saying I am a skeptic. I believe in what I can see, touch, and explain with logic. I don't believe in ghosts, spirits, or the supernatural. I'm the kind of person who will roll my eyes at a ghost story and immediately look for the wiring fault or the drafty window. But what I'm about to tell you is true. It happened to me and my partner a few years ago, and to this day, I have no rational explanation for it. This is the story that made me, a staunch non-believer, question the very fabric of reality. It all took place in my partner's parents' house. They were away on a long holiday, and we were house-sitting for a fortnight. The house itself wasn't some creepy old Gothic mansion. It was a normal, modern, semi-detached home in a quiet suburb. We'd been there many times, and it had always felt, well, normal. The first incident happened a few nights in. I woke up in the middle of the night, needing to use the bathroom. The main bathroom is downstairs. I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake my partner, and made my way down in the dark, guided by the faint glow of a streetlight through the window. As I passed the living room, something made me stop. The room was in disarray. Now, my partner is a neat freak. She tidies every room before bed. It's a compulsion. Fluffing cushions, straightening magazines, you name it. But that night, the couch cushions were strewn all over the floor. And it wasn't just random. Some of them were deliberately piled up in the corner of the room, almost like a nest. A cold prickle ran down my spine. It was wrong. Deeply, unsettlingly wrong. But, half asleep and desperate for the toilet, I shrugged it off. Maybe the cat had gotten crazy. Except, they didn't have a cat. I went into the bathroom, closed the door, and sat down. The house was utterly silent. That heavy, deep night silence where you can hear the hum of the refrigerator like a distant heartbeat. I'd been in there for a couple of minutes when it started. Knock, knock, knock. 3 sharp, firm raps on the bathroom door. It was right in front of me, and I saw the wood vibrate in the frame with the force of it. My heart jumped into my throat. "All right, 2 seconds," I said, assuming it was my partner, annoyed that I'd taken so long. There was no reply. No, "Hurry up," or "It's okay." Just silence. And then I heard it. A sound that I will never, ever forget. A low, rasping breath. It was loud, and it was rhythmic. In and out. In and out. It wasn't a snore. It was the sound of someone or something standing just on the other side of that thin wooden door, breathing deliberately. Listening. Waiting. I froze. Every instinct in my body was screaming. I don't know how long I sat there, trapped on the toilet, staring at the door handle, expecting it to turn. Finally, fueled by a mix of terror and a desperate need to escape the small room, I yanked my pants up and flung the door open. The hallway was empty. Completely and utterly empty. I sprinted back upstairs, my heart hammering against my ribs. I burst into the bedroom to find my partner sitting up in bed, her face pale in the moonlight. "Did you hear that knocking?" she whispered. I told her everything. The disassembled cushions, the knocking, the rasping breath. She was as creeped out as I was. We tried to rationalize it. A dream? Sleepwalking? But we had both heard the knocks. We spent the rest of the night with the lights on, jumping at every creak the house made. We thought that was the peak of it. We were wrong. The next day, we were trying to laugh it off in the living room when a sound erupted from the dining room that defied description. It wasn't a crash. It was a bang. A single, percussive, deafening explosion that sounded less like breaking glass and more like a gunshot. The second it happened, the power in the entire house went out. We sat in stunned silence for a moment before I fumbled my way to the fuse box and reset the trip switch. The lights flickered back on. Cautiously, we went to investigate the source of the sound. The scene in the dining room was one of pure destruction. A large, heavy mirror that had been hanging on the wall was now lying in 1,000 pieces on the floor. It had fallen directly onto the power outlet below it, shattering the plastic faceplate and causing the short circuit. It looked like a simple accident, but the details didn't add up. First, the force required to shatter a mirror, and a power outlet like that was immense. It should have left a mark on the wall. There was none. Second, we examined the wreckage. The heavy gauge wire that had been holding the mirror was still perfectly intact, still screwed firmly into the back of the mirror's frame. The hook it had been hanging on was still securely anchored in the wall. It was as if the mirror had simply phased through the wire and fallen straight down. We stood there, holding the intact wire and looking at the destroyed outlet, completely baffled. How do you explain that? From that point on, the activity escalated. It was no longer confined to the night. We'd be watching TV in the living room and hear the distinctive sound of a wooden dining chair scraping against the floor in the next room, followed by the soft thud of someone sitting down. We'd call out, "Hello?" and get only silence. We'd rush in to find all the chairs tucked neatly under the table. Or sometimes one would be pulled out, as if waiting for an invisible guest. We started hearing muffled conversations from empty rooms, voices that would fall silent the moment we crossed the threshold. It felt like we were living with a silent, unseen roommate who enjoyed rearranging the furniture and making its presence known in the most unsettling ways. The fortnight finally ended, and her parents returned home. We never told them the full story. What would we say? We mentioned the mirror falling, and they were just annoyed about the damage. But here's the chilling epilogue. Sometimes, when we visit, things still happen. A heavy armchair will be found shifted a few feet overnight. We'll hear a knock from a room we know is empty. My skepticism is gone, replaced by a wary acceptance. I still don't know what it was. I don't have a name for it. But I know it was real. And I know that for 2 weeks, we were not alone in that house. Don't want to lose this channel and always be up to date with new videos? Then make sure to subscribe. The story continues, and it's only getting more interesting.